Hello, Tennessee, and everybody out here. Um, we have a court case today, um, trying to get custody of my grandchild back, and I'd like to start at the beginning and tell you how I feel they stole this child from a loving home. It started back December 15th, 5th, I think, and my son was watching a 14-year-old teenager who was abandoned by his family. He took him in, paid for his food, his clothing, and it became too much for him to um, continue to do. It was the holidays. He lost his housing um, due to the apartments, and they got into a verbal argument. There was one hit and a push or something like that, and it wasn't like in the face or nothing. He was arrested, and due to the courts and having to show up for pretrial release, he lost his job at Amazon because it's the holidays and they can't, be missing work during the holidays. So here he has no job, nothing else, and evicted. He was under a lot of stress. And that's what started the whole domestic thing with the 14-year-old and everything else. It was just too much for a 21-year-old to bear on his own. And they got into an argument. He was released from jail on his own reconnaissance. Um, no ankle monitor, no bond, nothing, just released. And went to court and they dropped charges. Not sure exactly the correct legal term, but yeah, they dropped charges. They did seize, yeah. So anyway, here we go into March, and we get a call from DCS. We had moved, and they wanted to see Charlie. Well, she's 19, he's 21. She goes in there, nothing to hide, she thinks. She's done nothing wrong. What could possibly go wrong by cooperating? She tells them, and they give her to take a test. And of course, they won't let me go in with her, They won't do that. Um, and it's like a test to rate a threat assessment against my son, and it came back as medium risk. And she asked if she used any illegal drugs. They said no. The only thing she does is buy legal hemp from the one of many stores in town that sell it. And they go on to test her, and she tests positive for marijuana, which kind of blows her mind because she doesn't understand it's basically the same thing. Once you smoke it, it converts over to THC. So the DCS lady tells her at that time, well, if that's the only thing in your system, you're good. So they go to, well, before that, they have a court case. My son goes into the DCS office, and they do the same thing to him, and he tests positive, but they give him a no contact order. They live up to the no contact order. He's staying with me. And we go to court. They go to court. And they're told that everything's fine and my son can have visitation through me. He has contact now, but it has to be through me. And they think everything's fine. Well, between their next court date, he has the court date in Knox County. And keep in mind, before he goes to this court date, and while Lily was in there talking to DCS, they basically told her if you did not prosecute or drop charges, there's a likelihood Charlie would be removed. Why would he be removed? My son's done, he's a good father. The foster care worker says she never sees children like this there. The child's very smart, happy. She doesn't understand why he was removed, which we don't understand that either. Um, there was no proof of anything harm to the child. We asked for a hair follicle test for the child repeatedly to show it was they never used cigarettes or legal hemp around this child. It was always done outside, like cigarettes. And cigarettes they smoked during the day, but she would smoke when Charlie was taking a nap or somebody was there to watch him while she went outside to smoke a cigarette. But neither one of them were ever used around a child. And they could have easily stopped any assertion that legal drugs were used around the baby. I mean, if you can have a beer at night, that doesn't prove you're an unfit parent. They don't drink. They didn't do any other drug. They smoke legal hemp. So the judge removed Charlie from the bench after DCS told him, "Oh, if that's all in your system, you're okay." And yeah, DCS works with this judge all the time. Everybody says he treats marijuana like he does heroin, meth, fentanyl, any other hard drug. That's not grounds to take a child. Period. The drug THCA is legal hemp. They had their young kids. They thought it sold everywhere. It sold directly across the street from the police station. If it was a problem, why didn't the police arrest these buildings and all the people selling it? So they remove the child and they send them to do their drug tests and their mental health. And it's the first one on the list provided by DCS. They go back to court and they reject both of them, saying it's not an approved place. DCS provided them the name of the list. Cherokee Health is on the list, the number one thing listed in Helen Ross McNabb. So they throw that out of court. They send him somewhere else. My son drives down there, which is $40 in gas round trip to Knoxville, and he takes the test again. And he gets there, and they say, "Oh, we had to postpone it." But they go ahead. He talks him into doing it because he explains that he had to take another day off work, which he lost his job over this, by the way, but he's got another one. And he passes that one. Well, then before he even gets up the road, he gets into, "Oh, we gave you the wrong test. It has to be a nail test." Well, my son has nothing to hide. There's nothing in his nails or anything other than legal hemp. So he goes back again for the third test, and he gets there at 9 a.m. They're supposed to be either 9 to 3 or 9 to 1, and he waits almost an hour. Nobody's there. He leaves, comes back the fourth time, and he waits again, but they show up and they take a gram of his nails and clip them, and 3-week wait. And during this time, that's a lot of gas. 40 times 4, $160. Not counting the time off work, the purchase of a headset phone that he later got fired for using at work because he's not allowed personal calls. Even though, long story. His line supervisor said it was okay. He knew what was going on. I explained to DCS what was going on. They didn't care. They just didn't care. So he goes to court another time, this time before today's court date, and they throw out his drug test, even though he pleads, or he passed the test, and he was witness peeing in the cup by the court officer. My son's nervous. He can't pee in front of people. Don't ask why. And the court officer says, "Your Honor, I witnessed him pee in the cup. I just don't think there was enough pee to register the temperature correctly." Judge throws it out. Altered test. he passed a random drug test the week before at a DCS when they first got to see their child. They've only seen their child in over a month 2 times. One time was this past Mother's Day, and it was 3 weeks from the time they took him they got the first visit. My son wasn't able to see Charlie on Mother's Day because he's not a mother. So in over 5, 6 weeks, my son's got to see his son one time. They're horrible people. They're breaking a bond with the child, the mother, and the father. Again, the foster mother said she doesn't see children like this at all. Very smart, very happy child, very well behaved, very good child. She doesn't understand why he's there. We don't either. So, all this is based. The DCS worker repeatedly told the judge that he was a high risk, my son. We have the court papers. It says medium risk. We explained that to her. We also explained that he does not have 2 domestic violences with 2 different women. She told the judge that. He had one, she said, is a juvenile. I went to juvenile. The only thing they have on him is a domestic between me and my son when he was 16, 17. He decided he wanted to try drinking with his friends, which all children do. Well, maybe not all of them, but he did. And he came home, being, and I wasn't going to deal with it. I just called the cops and we had him removed from the home. I left him in juvenile for 4, maybe 5 days. And he learned a lesson. He quit drinking. And yeah, he became a better child. We didn't, but yeah, so I did that to stop any escalation of an issue with him at home. No third party was involved. The Knoxville City Police report again says it was between me and my son, no third party involved. She took that domestic charge and converted it into he was in a domestic with another female. And that's what she conveyed to the judge, just like she conveyed he was a high risk. There was no allegations other than they tested positive for the use of marijuana, which again was legal THC. That's sold, legal hemp, that's sold in every store. Never used around him. He was never smoked cigarettes around or anything else. The mother was very protective of that child. And what they did to her and us is just insane. And we're not the only ones, I'm sure. They get away with it because they're protected under the color of law. You don't get a chance to speak in court. You don't get a chance to tell your side. You're just convicted and found guilty. That's what happens in court in juvenile cases here in Tennessee. We go to court again today. The guardian ad litem's all for us getting Charlie back. And I could post 1,000 videos of this child. Always happy, always being silly. Why they took him is beyond me. So, I doubt we'll get him back today just because the guardian lighten and pray for her and her family. I mean, she's 100% for reunification of the child to us. But her mother passed away this morning, yesterday morning. And, she'll never see her mother again, unfortunately. And we'll still hopefully be brought together with Charlie very soon, if not today. But he should have never been taken. He was stolen by the courts and the system. One man got to play God, and we were told this from several people in the courthouse, and I don't want to mention their names or positions, but they said he treats marijuana, whether it's legal or not, just like heroin, just like methamphetamine, cocaine. It's all the same. It's not all the same. And the kids thought it was legal because it's sold legally in over 40 stores in this county alone. They didn't think they were doing anything wrong. They didn't do it around Chilled Charlie, just like they didn't smoke cigarettes around him. People, the state needs to be held accountable for what they're doing to us. My son lost one job over it due to they had to schedule his classes between 1:30 and 2:30, which is in the middle of his schedule at work, and it cost him his job because some idiot employee yells, "Get off the fair, you fucking queer!" And he was on a call with DCS. They heard the guy yelling in the phone, and because the guy starts, he got in trouble by the supervisor, but the guy wants to escalate it, take it further, so he tells him all this junk, and because Seth was on the phone, he's not going to lie. They said that's alone grounds for dismissal. So, yep, you're gone. So now he had to get another job, which he did the same day he lost his job. Um, it's a little further away, but the same amount of money. So we're blessed that, he was easily able to find a job. However, the child should have never been taken. There was no proof the child was in any danger, and anybody that knew him from the campground we lived in to the old housing we had that sees his child on Facebook 20 times a day, they could see how well taken care of he was. The foster care lady knew right away that this isn't the normal child they get there. And if the judge and the IRS would have opened their eyes, they would have seen it too. Please stop this madness and having it happen to other families. I just don't understand it. I really don't. Thank you. Have a blessed day.